Hello and welcome to No Spin. I'm Nidhi Razdan. It has been exactly 1 week since fact-checker Mohammed Zubair was arrested by the Delhi police for a tweet that he posted in 2018. It has been a week-long travesty. The case outrageous and flimsy. The tweet itself was a screenshot from an old Rishikesh Mukherjee film. The complaint from an anonymous Twitter handle that had 0 followers till Zubair was actually arrested. To make things worse, he wasn't given bail and is now in 14 days judicial custody in Tihar jail. Now he faces a new FIR and fresh arrest, this time in Uttar Pradesh, for calling out hate speech and using the term hate mongers against those who made the hate speeches. I'm not making this up. In my hand is the FIR that has been filed against Zubair in Sitapur in Uttar Pradesh. It actually says that Zubair used abusive words like hate mongers and humiliated those who actually made those hate speeches. It says that this is an attack on the religious sentiments of Hindus. The process clearly is the punishment here. Is this vendetta at its worst? That's what we're asking on the program tonight. This is a fresh FIR that has been registered against Mohammed Zubair. He works with a fact-checking website called Alt News, and Alt News is at now, it appears, a sort of a relentless attack as well. They have been running essentially on the donations of their readers in fact, earlier today, their payments on Razorpay were stopped. Subsequently to that, however, Razorpay issued a statement saying that they have unblocked and reactivated the account after clarity from authorities, because they, looked at Alt News's funding, etc., and where it was coming from. Alt News has also denied that it has received any foreign funding, that it takes donations only from within the country. So this is not just an attack on Zubair, but Alt News itself, which has been at the forefront of this fact-checking and brought this culture of fact-checking in as far as the Indian media is concerned, forcing many mainstream news channels and others also to begin their own fact-checking desks. And by the way, Alt News, it's often mistaken, that they are anti-government. They have actually taken on political parties, leaders, everyone across the spectrum as far as targeting them for fake news is concerned. These are shots today of Zubair actually been taken to Sitapur today by the UP police before he was brought back to Delhi and sent back to Tihar jail. And what we are hearing is that once Zubair's judicial custody in Delhi ends, the UP police is expected to seek his police custody there. We've got senior lawyer, in fact Sanjay Hegde, he's a senior advocate, joining us now. Mr. Hegde, we sent you the FIR earlier today. I just wanted you to take us through it and the absurdity of it, to say that, Nidhi, using the term hate mongers
because
is abusive. Please take us through this FIR.
Nidhi, I find the FIR to be absolutely absurd, simply because let's assume that he called somebody a hate monger. That does not meet the tests of spreading any disaffection between communities. If I were to call you a hate monger, for instance, just because you are a Hindu, it doesn't mean that the entirety of Hindu society or Muslim society has been attacked. Mr. Narsinganand or Mr. anyone else may have a private remedy in defamation, but that is between him and Mr. Zubair. There is no question of the state coming in, and this is an FIR which has been filed for the sake of an FIR and for the sake of the UP police just taking over custody. The message is very simple, that if you go against us, we shall have case after case and treat them serially, and we shall see what the courts can do. The Supreme Court, when it specifically asked in the other case that, look, you have not been arrested, but somebody says something and that person is picked up immediately. The country is watching, the courts are watching as to what police action, as to the extent that police action will go on. If we are not to be a police state, it is time that the courts step in and take particular action against policemen and ask them the authority of law under which all this has been done.
Ironic, we've got Supriya Srinath of the Congress joining us. Ashish Dixit is a lawyer with the Supreme Court. He's also with us. What is ironic? I just want to read out the people who have been named in the FIR as being hurt by these comments or calling them hate mongers. One is Mahant Bajrangi Munni. One is Yati Narsinganand, we all know him now, and Swami Anand Swarup. Okay, now we've got a graphic actually on the comments that all three have made as far as hate speech is concerned. Yati Narsinganand was of course arrested for being part of a hate Dharam Sansad where a genocide call was given for Muslims. He was then granted bail and was granted bail on the condition that he would never take part in such an event again. He has violated those bail conditions blatantly and taken part in another hate speech Dharam Sansad that took place in Delhi, where again there was an open call given to kill members of the minority community. After that, he has not been arrested. Anand Swarup ji, who is also says that he's offended by being called a hate monger, actually talked about a social and economic boycott of Muslims, also said that those who read the Quran become beasts. I'm reading these out simply because these are words that were uttered by these people, and that is why Zubair called them hate mongers. Bajrangi Munni, if a Hindu girl is harassed by any Muslim, you can see what he said over there. I'm not even going to repeat it, it's so offensive. And therefore, Supriya Srinath, it is ironic that these are the people who have now said that they are offended by the word hate mongers. They feel that that is abusive, and it is Zubair who's under arrest.
Nidhi, being a woman, I am absolutely enraged with what these supposed godmen who don the saffron robe, which our saints should be wearing, have said. Bajrang Muni has openly, I know you can't say it, but I think I have to, and I should as a woman. He has openly called for raping women. Yati Narsinganand has not just disgraced women, abused Mahatma Gandhi, has taken pot shots and character assassinated the BJP women leaders, including some of the ministers. Not a word from the BJP. The process is, and Anand Swarup of course was a part of the Dharm Sansad, which had talked about arms and which had also talked about how Mahatma Gandhi is responsible for where we are. No punishment to most of these people. The reality today is we live in a country where calling out hate is a bigger crime than perpetrating hate. We live in a country where hate mongers are offended because somebody is calling them out. We live in a country where post-truth, where half-truth, where lies are peddled by democratically elected ministers, including the Prime Minister himself, or for that matter, their MPs, MLAs. I mean, Rajavardhan Singh Rathod was an INB minister. He's sharing publicly a doctored video of Rahul Gandhi with an intention to incite further violence in Udaipur. I mean, look at where we have come. And the courts have to wake up because the process is the punishment. What was wrong with Zubair? First, his surname, and second, the fact that he was breaking through their maze every single day and reporting the truth. He was telling their lies apart, and that is what was making them uncomfortable.
No, so let me ask Ashish Dixit. Ashish Dixit, is this not a travesty, what is happening here? And is it now futile to say that the law will take its own course when we know that the process is the punishment for everybody?
Good evening, Nidhi. Good evening, Ms. Nidhi. As of now, I'm not sure whether we can still, it's too premature to say whether it is travesty or not. The FIR has been registered, some sections have been added. There is a finding given by the court that he has remained uncooperative. I'm only going by the orders of the court, and therefore the further investigation is required, and he is remanded to judicial custody.
Of the UP FIR.
And as far as the UP FIR is concerned, I'm so sorry. I had no benefit of reading that FIR. Unlike Mr. Hegde, I was not sent that FIR. But be that as it may, the FIRs are registered. If the council, there are many cases which are registered against our clients also. We can say, yes, state has a vendetta, but you have equally remedies available in law, and everyone can take them. If we think that the FIR is absurd and it's against, it should not have been registered, there is a remedy to go and seek question of that FIR.
But Mr. Dixit, would you not agree that it is absurd to have an FIR registered against you for using the words hate mongers? Prima facie?
Can I
Nidhi,
please-
80% of 90% of the FIRs registered in this country are absurd. What should we do?
Yeah.
We are we as a defense
Precisely
counsel,
the
Why
point I was
arrest?
trying to make.
we are
Precisely the
as a
point I was
defense
trying to
counsel.
make.
No,
Precisely
Supriya,
the point
Supriya
I was
ma'am,
trying to make.
I am not here as a political person.
No, I
You
know,
may
but
have
I'm
your
just
own
asking
thing.
as an officer of the law that
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We
Actually,
keep on fighting.
actually, it's insulting for you to tell us that we
That's
have the
why-
remedy to go to court because we know what happens. It takes forever
No,
to
you
get a
don't know.
hearing
No,
in
no, no.
court. The courts
Who
are not
says
doing
that?
anything.
Can I please come
No,
in?
I'm sorry. As an officer of court, I must tell you, if your case is genuine, you have genuine case in your hand, the courts do interfere. Sometimes
Can
you
I
don't
please
get
come in?
relief in your favor. That
I'm
doesn't
sorry, you
matter
must
that,
live
you
on
know,
another
courts are
planet.
not-
I would like to live where you do.
You need maybe you
Nidhi,
need very
can I
competent
please come
lawyers.
in?
That's a different deal.
Nidhi,
But the
can I
fact
make a very brief
remains,
point, please?
if you are going to give a general statement that courts are not functioning, I'm sorry. As a counsel of court,
Can I
I have
make
seen
a-
what exactly happens. There are cases where majority of people have gotten relief. You can see what if the
Can I
the
please
case-
make a brief
case of
statement?
Please, Mr.
Sharma.
Dixit.
Supreme
I
Court
mean,
refused
people
to
are
grant her
struggling for
relief.
decades to get justice, to get their to you know the
Brief
litigation in
statement,
this
please.
country is horrendous, and that's a separate debate. But we know that what the people take months to get bail. People take
10
years to
seconds,
get bail
please.
That
sometimes.
depends on the offense, Nidhi. It's
No,
not if
but
you
is
think
this an
someone should be
offense?
given
To-
bail.
Is this an
Come on,
offense
10
to
seconds,
arrest
please.
somebody
If-
for a tweet which was a screenshot of a Rishikesh Mukherjee film?
10 seconds, please.
Supriya.
10 seconds.
I think
Supriya,
Nidhi,
I
you
have-
don't know the facts of that
Ashish,
case. In
Ashish,
that
my
case,
name
the
is Supriya.
allegation is about
Ashish,
receiving
my name
foreign
is
funding.
Supriya.
Section 35 of FCRA has
All of that was
My name is
post
Supriya.
facto. That was added
No.
later after his judicial after he was
because
arrested.
that was the something
I'm
which was
sorry,
coming in,
my
which has
name is
come in the
Supriya.
investigation.
Okay, one second. Supriya
Mr.
wants to
Dixit,
come
come in
in.
the investigation.
And by the way, that has been strongly denied by Alt News. Yes.
No, they
I
said that
just
it has
have-
gone into company's
Mr.
account, not
Dixit,
into
please.
Mr. Zubair's account. That was the submission made in
Mr.
the court.
Dixit, my name is Supriya. Thank you, Mr. Dixit.
We all know your name, and actually, I was completing my thing. If I have to
Thank
complete
you.
only, then you can
Nidhi,
speak.
Yes, Supriya.
Nidhi, what is so strange is that a custodian of law is saying if your crime is going to be so flippant, you will be given relief. You know, courts have actually called out Anurag Thakur making that blasphemous hate speech. अगर मुस्कुरा के और हंस के कोई बात कह दी गई तो कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. They should have called out because that to me deserves jail. The rule of law is bail. It should be the norm and jail an exception. In this country, if you are questioning the government, if you are standing up against them, then jail is the norm and bail is an exception. I also want to point out there are similar offences committed by sympathizers and members of the BJP. They will never face jail. They will never be arrested with similar sections slapped against them. That is when I say that
Vats
the
of the
law is
BJP to
different for
respond to
different
that.
people.
Supriya, let me get Mr. Alok Vats of the BJP to respond to that, and Sanjay Hegde, I'll come back to you. Alok ji, ये जो यूपी का FIR है, I mean, you have seen the kind of language Yati Narsinganand, Anand Swarup and Bajrang Muni have used about Muslims in the past. So, Alok ji, I don't think your mic is on. Is that not hate speech, what they have said?
Well, certainly what they said was the hate speech, and they have been booked under the law, and they are out on bail. Investigations are going on, and they will be, sooner or later, if they have done something wrong, they will be put to task.
So then
They are
this
not
FIR
not
is
be-
spurious, you would agree? The FIR is pure harassment, no?
No, but there was FIR on them. Some of them even went to the jail, the so-called sadhus and saints, and thereafter they have been out on bail. The investigations are on, and if it is proved
No,
on
I am
them,
talking about this FIR against Zubair for calling them hate mongers, for making hate speech. Why should he be arrested for that?
no, but there were what he said was, trying to break the social fiber by, pointing out at various people and calling them hate mongers. So what is wrong? Let the investigations go on. In one he has been given clean sheet in one FIR. In this another FIR, if he is found not guilty, then he'll be out. What is
Can I
wrong?
please come?
What is
Let the
wrong is that it's
investigation-
harassment, Mr. Vats. It's harassment.
But he
What
has
is
done
wrong with
something-
saying hate mongers?
He has said something which was against the social fabric of the country.
How?
He has
What
called
is
out
that?
names.
Narasimhanand is not part of the social fabric of the
He has
country. I'm sorry.
called names to various heads of organizations.
who have, those so-called heads of organizations have
इन्होंने
made,
rape की threat
who,
की
as
है।
you admitted,
आप
have gone to
social
jail for
fabric
hate
बोल रहे हैं।
speech in the past, who are out on bail, who are violating their bail conditions.
आलोक वत्स जी, मैं एक औरत हूँ। जो बात इन लोगों ने एक औरतों के बारे में कही है, शर्म आनी चाहिए आपको इनके डिफेंस में खड़े रहने की। क्या हो गया आप लोगों को? छोड़िए, क्या
Supriya,
आप लोग?
I am not standing in defense for those who have
Then
said
why are you
anything against the
defending
females. I am not
You
standing
should
in defense
denounce
for
them.
those.
इनको जेल में डालना चाहिए आपको। क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप?
जेल गए थे, they had already gone to
और
jail.
एक और बाहर आ गए, फिर वही कर रहे हैं। क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप लोग को? कोई शर्म नहीं रह गई है सर?
They
क्या
have
बोल रहे
gone
हैं
to
आप लोग?
jail.
एक औरत के लिए वो ये बोलेगा और आप उनको डिफेंड करने के लिए टीवी पर आ जाएंगे? आपकी सारी सरकार लग जाती है डिफेंड करने के लिए। क्या हो क्या गया आप लोगों को?
क्या सरकार के हाथ में है किसी को जेल से छुड़ा लेना?
ओहो, पुलिस तो आपकी
जेल में
डालना तो है।
आपके इशारों पे चल नहीं रही है। क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप? आप क्या
You mean
कर
to
रहे
say
हैं
the
लोगों के
court-
साथ? आप
you
इस
mean-
देश का
you-
क्या,
you-
इस देश
No,
को
no.
खत्म
You mean
करने
to
का
say
क्या?
the court is? You mean to say the court is influenced by the BJP leaders?
No,
That
I
is what
mean
you
to
want
say
say.
your government acts vindictive. आपकी सरकार प्रतिशोध की भावना से चलती है। उससे सवाल पूछ लो तो आप देशद्रोही हो जाते हैं, और अगर आपका नाम मोहम्मद जुबैर है तो आप सबसे बड़े देशद्रोही हैं। ये दिक्कत है आपकी सरकार में। क्या हो गया आप सबको?
Repeatedly, it was not only that issue. He even highlighted the honeymoon as Hanuman restaurant. So there was
तो भैया, अगर
various-
इतना आपको,
मुखर्जी
अगर
did
आपको
that.
लॉ
अरे
का-
क्या बात कर रहे हैं
अगर
आलोक जी, that was a
आपको
tweet from a Rishikesh
अगर
Mukherjee
आपको
film.
लॉ की चिंता है
Nothing
तो
has happened in the
नुपुर
country
शर्मा को
because of that
गिरफ्तार
tweet.
करिए ना। एक मिनट, लॉ की चिंता है तो नुपुर
no,
शर्मा को
no,
गिरफ्तार
Nidhi,
करिए।
for that matter, what
क्या बोलते हैं आप? ये आपके तमामों नेता जिन्होंने
What
क्या
Nupur
गंदगी
Sharma
की
said was,
2017
what is
से
written in the book.
करिए, उनको
So
जेल में
whatever
डालना
so much
शुरू
you were
करिए।
So are you defending Nupur Sharma, Alok Vats?
I'm not defending Nupur Sharma. It
You
is the
just
way
said
of
that
putting
what
things.
she said was true.
It is the way of putting
Please
things.
remember what the Supreme Court has said about her, because they are watching you today. Are you defending her?
I'm not defending Nupur Sharma at all. I'm just saying it is a way of putting things. Everybody knows that without clothes water man is, but the way you put it,
That
that
is way of
matters.
putting things. कुछ भी बोलिएगा आप इस देश में किसी के भी खिलाफ।
संजय
और
हेगड़े,
आपके खिलाफ कोई
you
बहुत
don't
बड़ी
have to
बात
put it
क्या
that
बात
way.
करते हैं आप?
Supriya
बहुत
Sharma,
सारी गलत बात है।
Nupur
Give me a
Sharma,
second.
what she said.
Sanjay Hegde, what has been, and this is a
Sharma-
question I was trying to ask Mr.
Nupur
Yashowardhan
Sharma,
Azad
what she
earlier.
said.
Mr. Vats, give me a
Nupur
second,
Sharma, what
please.
she said and the
Just
way
give
she
me a
said
second.
was wrong. And we are
I'll come back to you.
celebrating
I'll come back to you. Mr. Hegde, what was disturbing also was to see, and I was asking Mr. Azad about this, is a senior police officer in Delhi actually telling journalists what the order in Zubair's custody hearing was hours before the actual order came from the judge. And then he
3
said,
hours
I
before.
misheard it. I mean, I misheard the proceedings in court. What does that tell us about the system?
That tells us that the system needs to take a deep look at itself, and I would actually think that the Delhi High Court needs to have an inquiry into how the order was leaked to the policeman so that he could say it with authority. At the very least, statements are called for. Now, I did hear somebody refer to the Nupur Sharma case and all that. And in the Nupur Sharma case, the Supreme Court itself made some very interesting observations. When the case of Arnab Goswami was cited, they said, look, yes, it was heard within a day, but that was on the facts of that case. They also asked specifically while comparing the Nupur Sharma case with the Zubair case, they said, for you there has been a red carpet, isn't there? And anybody else says anything, they are immediately picked up. Now, what is actually happening is that there was a determination to pick up Zubair. So when he went there to join the investigation in a case where he had already got bail, then he was presented with a fresh FIR, barely given notice, and immediately taken into prison. Now that that case has exploded because, one, it is a Rishikesh Mukherjee film. Two, the Twitter complainant appears to be linked to the BJP, and he had only one tweet in his account. Therefore, you launch a third case altogether. You start it off in Uttar Pradesh, and you see the vehicles which the Uttar Pradesh police use, they are known to suddenly upturn. The message which is going out via the Zubair case, via all the other cases, is not only to Zubair, but it is to the country at large. It basically says, dare you speak out and see what can happen.
Mr. Dixit, do you want to respond to what Sanjay Hegde has said, and you're both officers of the court here, but just look at how these this case has unfolded. You do not see this as harassment?
See, Mr. Hegde is entitled to his views and he is entitled to his apprehensions also. But I, as a lawyer, can only tell you what is the mandate of the law. If there is an FIR and after investigation into that FIR, some other offences are disclosed, that does not make it post facto. It's part of the offence and it has to be investigated. Now, please understand, Mr. Zubair has filed 3 petitions, if I'm not mistaken. He has went up to the High Court, and even the High Court has not given him any relief. I'm not commenting on the merits of the case, but whatever is available in public record, we can see that courts are taking cognizance of that matter, and they have not found anything which is violating anyone's right, or in your language is harassment. They have clearly said that Mr. Zubair has not cooperated and the matter requires further investigation.
Do you think Nupur Sharma
So
this
is the observation of the court.
Do you think that under the law, Nupur Sharma should be arrested?
See, to arrest or not to arrest is sole discretion of the IO. Even the courts cannot direct him to arrest. Right. I, as a criminal lawyer, can tell you, in IO or the SHO has to decide if the arrest has to take
because
place.
Even she is accused of exactly the same thing in the FIR registered against her, but no one is arresting her.
Please arrest her. High Court and any other court, usually even the High Courts don't pass such kind of direction.
Mr. Hegde is going to... तो fringe element है, उसके बाद भी
actually I am not in favor of anyone being arrested for any of this, but that's another story. My point is that you are not applying the same yardstick.
In favor of undue arrests. That is exactly why Section 41A is there. That is why you are supposed to give a notice, and if you do not join, then now in this particular case, the Zubair had protection in one case, which he had gone there to join the investigation. The IO was determined to arrest him.
No. If
so
then the yardstick has to be
Mr.
applied,
Dixit, please do not interrupt me.
No, you
Mr.
interrupted me.
Do not interrupt me.
The
IO was predetermined. The IO decided that this man has to go in. Therefore, in the next case, immediately got up a tweet which was complained of by a Twitter account with 1 follower. And you, please, Mr. Dixit, you and I are members of the law, but after a certain stage, facts are facts and fact checkers are fact checkers. And we do know that when somebody is being unfair. So, irrespective of our particular politics, unfairness, arrogance, and total disdain for the rule of law will come back to haunt this government. And more, what really worries me is that this will set the model for future governments. Parties are not perpetually in power. Another government may turn around. Therefore, it is very necessary that when you are in power, that you adhere to the law.
I have to leave it at that tonight. We'll be closely tracking this story to see where it goes from here. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us.